Good morning, Stephanie Cavino.
Morning.
I'm the program manager for the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative, and we're just going to go around and do quick introductions. We'll probably keep joining us for the next few minutes here. David, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yes, I'm David Tapscott, Uxbridge Board of Health. I'm joined by my colleague Kay, who's on the screen, and I'll be presenting our current MVP project later on in the program.
Perfect. You'll be up next.
I have a request. It would be helpful, and some of you have to put in your name, who you are, like where you come from, what you're doing here, like your organization, I guess. Like so many of you have, but I lose track. That's all.
You're totally right. Yeah, I should ask folks to do that. It's very helpful. If you don't know how to change your name, you can go on your picture or on the right list of participants and click on those three little dots. And then you can, your name, you can put in your organization or town, whatever you're with. Great. So you want to go next? Oh, do we have you, Ted?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't. The word Ted was kind of clipped and truncated. I didn't quite hear it. Yeah, Ted Beauvais. I'm with the Blackstone River Watershed Association.
Thank you. Kay?
Hi, Kay Denherter. I'm with the Uxbridge Board of Health.
Thank you. John?
John Moslin, president of the Blackstone River Watershed Council, Friends of the Blackstone.
Thanks, John. Kate?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kate McPherson. I'm Save the Bay's Narragansett Bay Riverkeeper.
Thanks. Paul?
Good morning, Paul Popinchak, 350 Central Mass here in Worcester, and grandfather.
Thanks, Paul. Aiden?
Hi, I'm Aiden. I'm a first year at Clark University, and I am just here to help take notes and to listen.
Thanks so much for coming, Aiden. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Greg?
Greg Dorschler, Greater Worcester Land Trust.
Thanks, Greg. Hillary?
Morning, Hillary King. I work for the State of Massachusetts Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program.
Thanks, Hillary. Logan?
Hi, I'm Logan. I'm a junior at Brown University, but I'm currently working as an intern for Central Falls, building a climate resilience plan.
Thanks, Logan. Glad you could join us. Nick?
Hi, everyone. This is Nick Cohen. I'm an environmental planner at Horsley Witten Group.
Thanks, Nick. Rebecca?
Rebecca Quinones. I'm a Mass Wildlife. I'm the climate change specialist.
Thanks. Sarah?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Bauer, technical specialist with Mass Rivers Alliance.
Tyler?
Good morning. I'm Tyler. I'm an admin assistant with the Franklin Conservation Department. Just here to sit in, observe, and take some notes.
Thanks, Tyler. Heather?
Hi, I'm Heather Perry. I'm the Water Quality Monitoring Program Coordinator for the Blackstone River Coalition.
Thanks, Heather. Allison? We got you, Allison.
Good morning. Sorry, it's crazy new iPad. Good morning, everyone. I'm Allison Hamill with Rhode Island Department of Transportation, Office of Stormwater Management.
Thank you. And I see in the chat we have Biomap 3. Definitely let's talk about that in the updates. Woo! I didn't know it was there, so I'm excited about this. We'll be sharing that with my colleagues. So everybody, first on the agenda, we have a presentation by Dr. David Tapscott and Kay Denherter. So good, if you want to share your screen. Oh, you were a pro. It was so smooth. Take it away. You are on mute though. It was so close. We were so close. still
Yeah.
on mute. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm good. Okay. So here we go. This is a project that we're in called the Homebrew and Whiten Pond Dam Removal. It is a program. It's a project funded by the Municipal Vulnerability and Preparedness Program through the state Massachusetts Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. It's our second grant, and we're into it. Let me see, here we go on to the next slide. So this is a story about two sad dams. And the first is called the Homebrew Dam. It's called Homebrew because nobody knows why it was built. And somebody just put it up one day. It's not clear why. It's fortunately on town property on the DPW land, and makes things much more straightforward, and it's very small. But as you'll see as we go on, it's in sad shape. And the other dam is the Whiten Pond Dam. This is much bigger. And its responsibility for its ownership and maintenance is to be determined, which is a major problem, as you'll see. And this is the context in which this project was sort of created. Uxbridge has 3 rivers. I misspelled Kitticuck, and I thought I repaired it, but I guess I didn't. It's Kittacuck. Thank you, Stephanie. So the 3 rivers that go right through Uxbridge is Blackstone, which goes from the top, from the north edge of Uxbridge down to the Rhode Island, through the Rhode Island border. And there are 2 tributaries that are pretty major in terms of Blackstone. One is the West River that comes in from the west. It's smaller than the other tributary, which is the Mumford. And both of these rivers go right through Uxbridge, one coming in from the east and one coming in from the west. Even though the West River is on the east side of Uxbridge and comes in from the east, it's called the West River. Flooding has been identified as a major vulnerability by the MVP project, which started in 2018, I believe.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
The West River, let me just give you a little bit of information about the West River. It has a dam on it now, which is maintained by the Army Corps of Engineers. And this dam was built after the major flood from Hurricane Diane in 1955, which flooded Uxbridge and many, many, many towns downstream well into Rhode Island. It did stand up to Hurricane Donna in 1960, and it's maintained, which is, as everybody knows, pretty important in terms of the integrity of dams. The MVP, the first MVP grant we got set priorities, and the MVP 1 looked at all the dams in Uxbridge, at least those that we could get approval to see. And many people, this is an interesting background, many people did not give us permission to go on their land to look at the dams because they were afraid that we would recommend removal. So it's sort of, this is the social context of this whole project, is that people don't want to see ponds disappear. And but the MVP 1 did look at all the dams we could, and looked at basically all the stream crossings in Uxbridge also. This is a picture of the Homebrew Dam, and I'm not sure this does justice to the situation, because going there and seeing it up close is a little more impressive. On the left side is a sinkhole, which has been created at the side of the dam. And on the right sided picture is a training wall, or a sidewall, which is really separated from the earth that it was built into on the side. So it's basically not in very good shape, and it creates a little bit of a pond behind it that some ducks live in and all of that. And the major issue with this is that it's near a town municipal water well. Just downstream is, I think it's well number 1, and what's called the Blackstone well, because it's near the Blackstone Street. But it is downstream. So overtopping of this well in flooding would potentially endanger one of the town municipal water sources. And the other reason is to restore some ecological integrity. This is the only dam on this brook called Meadowbrook, which goes from the town of Mendon and through Mendon and through Uxbridge, and then goes to this dam, and then flows into the West River, and then flows into the Blackstone. But there are species upstream that would be restored, and that's one of the reasons for removing it. The process is pretty straightforward. In this project, we basically outlined it to go all the way from permitting into the stage where we could get funds to remove it. It's classified as a low priority dam because there's no development downstream between the dam and its entry into the Meadowbrook's entry into the West River. There's no real significant property development. The approval process needs to go through the Uxbridge Conservation Commission. And even though it's a small project, it has to go through the MEPA process, which is a multi-layered state environmental review. And there are a number of steps that will lead to a final permitting, which would lead to the final stage of removal. And this would require the town raising, or someone somehow raising funds to remove this dam. The other sad tale is the Whiten Pond Dam. And this picture, as you can see, the pond is in the background, and the flowage over this is almost like a spill. No, it's not a spillway, but it was built to power a mill, which is off to the right. And it's listed by the Office of Dam Safety as significant hazard, primarily because it hasn't been maintained. Ownership of the dam is unclear, and it holds back a fair amount of water. I forget exactly how big the pond is. Kay, I don't know if you've researched that yet, but it's a fairly big pond. But as you can see, right in the middle of it is a substantial growth of trees and other sort of shrubs and scrub, which is really threatening the integrity of the dam. And I can't see it here, but the sidewalls are deteriorating also. Now, because of the location, and I'll show a map in a minute, and the size, this sort of project begs for a lot of community involvement, as opposed to the Home Brew Dam, which is on town land with no development. And this is a much sort of different project. So why remove this dam? It would significantly reduce the impact of flooding upstream by creating some wetlands and a more riverine ecology. And it would also protect the property and the infrastructure downstream. Hillary was good enough to send me a link to what can happen when a dam like this breaches. It was in the town of Hinsdale. And within a matter of hours, the dam breached during a heavy rain, I believe it was. And there's a significant alteration, destruction of property downstream, and then alteration of property upstream from this dam also. And it occurred, if I remember correctly, in a matter of hours. It was like millions of gallons just sort of let loose, and it can have a major impact. Downstream of this dam is a major roadway. Oh, this is downstream. Let me back up. This is downstream of this dam. This is called the Crown and Eagle Apartments. It's a 61 unit apartment complex, mostly elderly and disabled under Section 8 housing. And you can see the Mumford River flows directly underneath it. It's also been flooded at various times, usually during heavy rains. It's in a flood-prone area. It's low. And I'll show you on the map later some FEMA and some floodplain sort of overlays that are very near the Crown and Eagle. And this is downstream or south of this Crown and Eagle. This is a unit that's been built, a house in a residential development called Rogerson Crossing. And this sold, by the way, and I won't comment on the real estate market, but it's sold in September for $500,000. And there are dozens of these homes, both in this development and in the development on the other side of a river. This is a map, and I hope you can see my cursor here. This is the Mumford River. It's got an overlay of the floodplain coming in. This is the Whiten Pond here, which is created by the dam, which is right here, right where my cursor is. And then it goes under Hartford Avenue, which is a major sort of east-west route going through Uxbridge, and lots and lots and lots, hundreds of cars every day use this. You go downstream from Hartford Avenue, and this is the Crown and Eagle that we showed you. And then going further downstream, this is Rogerson Crossing. And then over here, oh, I'm sorry, this is Rogerson Crossing. This is Moreland Drive. This is another residential development, but they're all significant. And this blue and red are basically FEMA and floodplain overlays, which shows sort of how low and how vulnerable this area is. So the process of removing this dam, number one are the legal issues. This is a major issue, and the town council, our town council, has been involved as part of the MVP process, and they've gone beyond the digitized and electronic records, so they're having to scour the archives up in Worcester to look for deeds that establish ownership of the dam, because it's just not clear. The land abutting the dam is has unclear circumstances surrounding it. Also, there's bankruptcy and lack of taxes that's been paid on this land, and the town is looking at exercising some tax lien rights under it. But as such, access to the dam has been difficult. The other process involves the community, and basically it's in the north part, and this housing complex is mostly elderly. So we're working to get people involved in in this process, to become aware of it and also to give their opinions. There's been universal feedback so far, and not surprisingly, that anyone that owns property, has a house around the pond, would object to losing the pond. And that's understandable. From an ecological point of view, I think complete removal of the dam in a thoughtful way is a no-brainer. But in terms of the community and individual rights, it's a whole different story looking at it from that perspective. So we plan to hold a visioning workshop with the help of Fussin O'Neill, who's gathering all the technical data, and present that in a visioning workshop in the early spring, to paint different scenarios about what the removal, either complete or partial, would look like, or what maintenance would look like. And to me, maintenance is really off the books, because it's just, I don't think anybody's going to step up and take ownership and responsibility for the dam, and because of the cost, basically. So the next steps would be beyond that, beyond the visioning workshop, would be to develop a dam feasibility process, which would get more technical and involve more permitting. Part of the project is removal of water chestnuts. And some of you have been approached already about this by either Kay or Stephanie or whatever. Water chestnuts are a major problem in this pond. They grow every year, and it seems to get worse every year. There's lots of comments that I see about the smell of the pond, which I think is from nitrous oxide that alters the the ecology of the pond. But the water chester removal is part of this project. And we're looking, I was very interested that Grafton's interested in sharing ownership of a harvester. But most water chestnut removal has been done by hand, by getting in and pulling it out. And that's sort of the model we're looking for. And we have some experience in Uxbridge. Oops, sorry about that. We have some experience in Uxbridge of doing this. We've had an annual Board of Health has had an annual cleanup day, which has drawn a lot of interest and become a tradition. It got interrupted by COVID, but even this year with pretty short notice, we got about 50 volunteers out, and Bonnie Combs from the Blackstone Valley Heritage Quarter has been immensely helpful in sort of the cleanup days. So this is the core team that we have that's sort of monitoring and implementing this project, and we've got solid representation from everybody on the left. But interestingly enough, and this is a political process, as you all are familiar with from your own work in your local communities, especially, we don't have involvement from the planning board, which I've been knocking at their door for 2 or 3 years, but it's not really happening. Businesses and other NGOs and citizens also sort of aren't really stepping up. So those are sort of missing pieces about the whole process.
And that is.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to stop here and ask for any comments. And this is sort of the whole slideshow is sort of we want to use this as part of the visioning workshop. So any comments or questions would be most welcome at this point.
Thanks, David. Go ahead, Kay.
I was just going to say that's why we're focused on eliciting community involvement, and we're having the 3-day visioning workshop. We're trying to communicate through social media, through just spreading the word.
And do you guys have a date yet for that visioning session?
Have we had the visioning session? No, we have not.
No,
but I think we can't wait, basically. And I think what my next step is to write a letter and hand deliver it to some people and post it to some people, informing them of the project and asking for their feedback, starting now. And then the visioning workshop, I think, will go much better.
Do you have an anticipated timeline of when you want to host that?
Probably early spring.
Okay.
We've got to coordinate that with Fuss and O'Neill.
Mm-hmm.
Like March, latest April, March, April.
Okay.
And Ted Bove, I have a question. How high is the dam and how deep is the pond?
We don't know how deep the pond is. Great question. I was able to get access to the pond for Fuss and O'Neill to do some of the work from a property owner that was nearby. They did depth assessment. We don't have the data back yet. The dam, the height of that Whiten Dam is probably about 20 feet.
Is there access through the Progressive Club or through Cornerstone Church? Are they involved in this?
The Progressive Club has some abutting property. We accessed in MVP 1, we accessed through their property, but it was difficult. It was steep and overgrown. So the access is, so they're one of the stakeholders for sure. The Cornerstone Church, I haven't approached yet, but they're also in a butter at the other end of the pond.
That is a good idea.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments for Uxbridge?
If you think of anything, any thoughts or anything, go ahead. You can get to us through Stephanie or my email.
This is Nick from Horsley Witten. I just had a quick question about the stakeholders and the folks on the pond who are opposed to the dam removal. Has any kind of outreach or discussion been had about what their underlying interests are or reasons for being opposed? Is it on recreational grounds or aesthetic grounds, or they like the status quo or anything like that, or still to be determined?
The feedback I've gotten so far from direct contact during the sampling process actually was that they don't want their view changed. They think their property values will diminish. One person said their grandson's an ecologist, and he says if this dam goes out, it'll be reduced to a muddy trickle. So there's lots of visions out there about gloom and doom visions. I'm not sure about the property values actually that needs to be explored, but that's the kind of feedback we've gotten so far.
Thanks. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
A question, has there been any discussion about what the cost would be of not taking action? And who would be responsible for that? Because if if you had major flooding again in this area, you know, there's a cost to that. And that's the same issue that's happening with climate change. Nobody's talking about what happens, what the cost is of not doing anything.
If you don't do anything, I agree completely. That's a major point that needs to be developed in more detail in terms of cost of maintaining the dam, getting an estimate, and in terms of painting scenarios of what happens when you don't do anything. And that Hinsdale situation was an example of this, where a dam like this breached and significant destruction of property downstream. It was a disaster. I mean, minor because nobody was killed, but major in terms of value lost.
Property damage. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of examples like that from DER, Division of Ecological Restoration. So I know sometimes they can be tough to get to meetings because of, you know, we're all kind of strapped, but that would be a really good person or a really good group to have represented at your meetings, because they've been through the dam removal process in a lot of other communities and can sort of answer those questions about, well, what does it really look like and what will happen? So I'd encourage you to invite them.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, definitely. David, you'll keep me posted on when those meetings are being scheduled, and I can reach out to my contact DER for sure.
Right. Oh, okay.
We're gonna keep busy this spring with all these MVP focuses on dams.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Great. Well, David or Kay, if you guys want to put maybe your email in the chat, just so that if people want to follow up with you, they can, and I'll put it in the notes as well. And thank you so much for presenting. And I definitely want to be on that visioning session meeting. So I look forward to hearing more about
definitely.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to steal your screen share here.
Yep.
And if I can. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Press present. I feel like I should know how to do this. There we go. That's the button. Nope. Sorry, guys. We're getting there. The button for presenting and the button for stop share are right next to each other. Where this is. Here we go. So the next thing that we have on our agenda are some of our subgroup updates. So for resolutions, municipalities love to do this to me. I have meetings at the same time, so I'm not sure if one of them will get bumped. But I'm presenting to the Auburn Select Board on passing this resolution in support of the needs assessment report, and then the City of Worcester referred this vote to their technology and environment subcommittee. So I will figure out the timing on that one and see if I can do both. Otherwise, Worcester will have to wait. But I don't know if there are any other resolution updates, if any community wants to put this onto their select board agenda.
I've approached Pawtucket. I'm still waiting to get an answer back.
Thanks, John.
I went a different avenue this time through the planning department, so.
Okay.
I think I'll have to nudge them again.
I think, Steph, for this slide, I could help you make a map of the Blackstone, and we can highlight the towns that still remain.
That would be great. I actually did that at one point in a really cheesy way of not real map. I just took a picture and put little stars on the communities.
Cheesy is good.
Yeah, I should probably just start sharing that instead. That would be better. Good point.
Oh, so hi, Stephanie, it's Patty. I just quick question. Who did you talk to in the planning office in Pawtucket?
Anthony Hebert. And then he's the chief, the senior planner.
Yeah, I would try to get with Jay Rosa. Because he runs the Riverfront Commission meeting. I think he's still there. I don't know, I have to check.
So we have
and
done
if
a presentation with Jay at the Riverfront Committee. We just haven't had sort of this resolution passed by select board.
Right, yeah, I know Pawtucket is a little slow in the uptake with this stuff. But John, if you want me to go with you sometime, I have a good relationship with some of the folks over there in the planning office, and I'd be glad to come as a support person.
Okay, sounds good, Patty. Thank you.
Yeah, just let me know.
Are there any bikeway or greenway updates? I'm going to take this as a no. On water quality, I know I've mentioned this a few times. I'm going to keep bringing it up until the funding is gone. There's a first come, first serve basically grant from Mass DFW on either conservation or restoration. So it's an in lieu fee program. This funding comes up just kind of every now and then as they get funding in from a project. And anywhere in the Blackstone watershed in Massachusetts is eligible for this. It's a really simple 2-page application, just to kind of get your idea in there. And Elizabeth from DFW is wonderful. I'm sure she's happy to work with you on trying to figure out if it's a good project and a good fit for this funding source. So I can share her information again. I know she did a presentation a few months ago about the program. So just a reminder on that one. Are there any other water quality updates that folks want to share?
Hi, Stephanie.
Sure.
Hi. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go, Donna?
No, go ahead.
So I'm the water quality program coordinator for the Blackstone River Coalition, and we just finished our season last weekend for November. So we're working on getting all that data quality controlled and working on website and all kinds of cool, exciting stuff that hopefully everybody will have access to sometime in the spring, I'm hoping. So thank you to all our volunteers out there.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this, and I'm still working with a couple of different opportunities to get you a student to make a new website to be able to host that.
Thank you. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, working on that. Hopefully in the next couple months with the holidays, we'll get someone sorted out. Thanks. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Donna.
I think there are a couple of funding opportunities for water quality monitoring. Heather, you might want to come back on again. I believe the Blackstone River Coalition applied for a DEP grant, water quality grant.
Yes.
Could
Yeah,
you
we just applied for that. It was due Monday, so we just submitted that application. So we're waiting to see if we get some funding.
Great. And then there's another kind of quiet opportunity, might be a SEP from Conservation Law Foundation, which will be fabulous if it comes to fruition. But Heather and the Blackstone River Watershed Association and Peter and Blackstone River Watershed Council have been working on a proposal. So hopefully that will all come to fruition and it'll be fabulous. It'll be great.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can have that as an update, maybe next meeting. We'll know a bit more in January.
I was very slow to unmute myself and get rid of, get back on video, but as far as bikeway, can we back up a touch? I just want to let folks know that the Blackstone River Valley National Heritage Corridor is in the quiet phase of a community campaign to raise $1.4 million. And the top priority is advocating for the bikeway. We know that the Heritage Corridor can't build the bikeway or wouldn't have the funding to pay for design or construction, but we can create a groundswell to advocate for the bikeway, particularly the 18-mile section between Millbury and South Uxbridge. But the half-mile segment between Blackstone and Woonsocket, I think that they've just had a bid conference for that, and the hope is that construction will start in spring of this coming year. So that will be great to have progress on the bikeway, and it's good for helping to advocate for the rest of it. That's all I've got.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Donna.
Stephanie, if you don't mind, I have a water quality related update from Mass Rivers. I just wanted to make people aware that the state has released their 2022 draft integrated list of waters, which comes out every 2 years and identifies water bodies that don't meet water quality standards under the Clean Water Act. And so there's currently a comment period for this draft list. So we encourage everybody to look at the list for the Blackstone and submit comments if you have any on any of the waters that are listed there. And I can drop in the chat a link to where you can find all the info in the draft list.
Thank you. Do you know when those comments are due?
Yes, they're due, I believe, December 23rd. So not great, right around the holidays. But it's an extended comment period because it includes both Thanksgiving and right before Christmas. So.
I'm wondering if it might be helpful to have a subgroup of these of folks just have a specific meeting about that to review it and discuss and put together a letter with multiple sign-ons, which is always challenging around the holidays, but that might be worth it, especially folks like Heather. Yeah, okay, why don't I send out a doodle poll to try and make a meeting and look that over. Okay, thanks.
This is Kate with Save the Bay. I just wanted to mention, I looked at, I got the Mass Rivers email a couple days ago, and just so that folks can sort of mentally prepare themselves, just Appendix 6, which is the Blackstone River, is 248 pages. So I think the more folks that can help take a look at the document and make sure that it makes sense, especially because it includes a ton of tributaries to the main stem of the Blackstone. And if one of these tributaries is in your backyard or in your town, and you know what's going on with it, it'd be just really helpful to have lots of people taking a look, and then we can all sort of work together, because it's a big, it's a really big document.
Thank you, Kate, for taking a look at that already and getting us prepped. I think I'll just send that sort of invite to everybody, and we'll see who wants to be included and go from there. Anything else on water quality? I have two things for university work. One is I forgot about this group, but I was recently reintroduced to Alpine. It's Academics for Land Protection in New England. And when I looked it up, there's only one university that is in the Blackstone Watershed that's connected, which is Clark. And I don't actually know how integrated they are with this, but I just wanted to encourage you to sign up for the news. It's not just for academics either. It has a lot of different good news stories and resources there. So there's a link there. I'll also copy it into the chat in a second. And also, if you're part of a university and you're interested in actually having a formalized, being listed as a partner with Alpine, I encourage you to reach out to them and getting listed, because I feel like a lot of people are doing really good work already, which leads me to my second update. I've been contacted by a bunch of different universities about really similar things. So one of the goals of the collaborative is just sort of bring people together and trying to integrate all of that different work. So this is just another opportunity to do that. So I wanted to let folks know, and I've told these individuals as well, but WPI is Worcester Polytech Institute in Worcester. These are all in Worcester. And they have these interactive qualifying projects, or IQPs, and they often focus on stormwater, because I always hear about them from Paul Matheson, who does stormwater work. But they asked if there's sort of a community-based project that they can maybe work with me on. And my mind, of course, always goes to culverts. And similarly, Holy Cross has a community-based learning program with Bryce Dubois, and he is working on a course in the spring. These are all in the spring. And I also thought about culverts. Worcester State University does a service learning program with Ann Armstrong, who I know is on our call today. And then Clark has this HERO program. It's the Human Environment Regional Observatory led by John Rogan. And they work in the summer, actually not in the spring, with a group of students. But I just wanted to kind of remind folks and put it out there that there are all of these different universities that have these opportunities for community work. So, they know me, so they contact me, and I've tried to sort of reach out to some partners that I thought might be interested in doing, work with students. But if any of you guys are interested in working with any of these universities and I haven't spoken to you, please let me know. If you have a specific project that you think would be great for students to work on, it's usually a group of students or class of students. The timeline is sort of the toughest part, to be able to work with them in the beginning, give them a certain number of weeks, and then kind of come back at the end and review everything with them. But just sort of reminding folks and putting it out there. And if anybody has specific ideas of projects, feel free to let me know now, or put it in the chat, or follow up with me after. Any thoughts, questions, comments on that? Okay, I'm gonna move on. So, water chestnut. I know the town of Grafton reached out and said, hey, we're interested in potentially purchasing an aqua harvester or similar machine that would go out in their lakes and ponds and remove water chestnut. And I know that's something that has come up in a lot of different communities. These things cost anywhere from like $85,000 to $120,000. So I'm not sure the logistics exactly of how to make it work with multiple communities purchasing this, but I'm wondering if there's an interest, and then we can look into something of like a mutual aid agreement and a regional planning agency purchasing it, or I don't know if the collab could purchase it and share it out, or BRC or another group like that. So I just want to kind of put it out there and see who's interested in maybe doing something like that. I know Uxbridge was also potentially interested. I'm also going to stop screen sharing for a second so I can actually see you guys. I'm going to wait because I know you're interested. I know you are. Everyone talks about water chestnut.
Oh, we're interested. Oh, yes.
I don't know that anybody's on here, but I remember talking, I think, to Lester about it a few years ago. So maybe there's someone, if there's enough interest, we could reach out to somebody in Leicester as well.
Okay. So I'm hearing Leicester, Uxbridge, Franklin, Grafton. It doesn't have to just be Massachusetts. So I know that this is an issue in definitely like Lincoln and Cumberland and Central Falls as well. I don't know if the communities necessarily, you know, we don't always have great representation from municipal there, but I know this is something that Friends of the Blackstone works on a lot.
Stephanie, I don't have any authority to speak for Worcester, but I know Worcester has the need because there's several ponds that are choked with this. And just as a point of information, I know that in dealing with, I forget the name of the invasive species at another pond, that a harvester was used to gather it up, but in the process, it cut all the weed into lots of little pieces, which ended up just reseeding the lake. Does the same thing happen with water chestnut? No.
Well, it would, but so there are different kinds of harvesters, and I'm no expert in this, but I've done a little bit of research on it just after Grafton reached out. And the type of harvester that I showed the photo of and that I was looking at does not cut, it pulls. And that's the difference. And so I think that it's better for water chestnut and a lot of other different types of species because you're not creating lots of different reseeding opportunities. There are also a lot of different attachments that you can have if you need to also like get down several feet and pull something from the ground. So yeah, I don't know a ton of information, but they do. I know there was a note about shallow. These things actually work in very little water because they're a lot of lakes and ponds that are choked with invasives are often shallow and have been filled in. So let me look at my notes.
Real
They
quick,
work in
Steph.
like 12
I-
inches of water. Go ahead, Kate.
That's awesome to know. I just wanted to let you folks know I'm looking at the Rhode Island aquatic species distribution for water chestnut, and it's completely within the Blackstone River and a couple of ponds in Lincoln. And so it would be great to get a representative from either Lincoln or Cumberland or Woonsocket to see if a municipality would be interested in using a harvester. I think it's a great idea to get one and share it with the community because they are so expensive. And you have a pretty wide window to use them. And then also, I'm sure many of the folks on the call know that water chestnut seeds just stick around for decades. And so it's not something where you can kind of one and done and like rent one. I think to be really effective, having one in the for the group's use, it makes a lot of sense. And then the person, so because the state of Rhode Island Wetland permitting is through the state. I'm guessing municipal involvement would be less necessary, but somebody like Katie DeGouche at Rhode Island DEM, who does a lot of work in aquatic and is basically the only person at DEM who does aquatic invasive work, might have some really good insights and thoughts. So I can
Yeah.
chat with her
uh,
about that.
Oh, yeah, Kate and Stephanie, this is Patty again. I just posted in the chat. Bob Billington, the tourism director, he wanted to get a harvester and had talked to Katie DeGouche at great length about the Valley Falls Pond. And John, you may remember this too. Katie did not recommend a harvester. She said the pond is much too shallow. And I think she was also concerned that in addition to water chestnuts, it would remove other native species plants. And actually they just went in for chemical treatment at the Valley Falls Pond. I don't know about the other ponds in Lincoln, but you may want to check, because I do think the ponds have to be of a certain height in order for a harvester to work. Bob did get this interesting little tool that he used during the ZAP cleanup day. You know, that seemed to work because they went back out and did some water chestnut pull along the river. But John, chime in if you have any thoughts, but I just wanted to bring that out, that the harvester may not always be the best, depending on the height of the water. At least
It could be,
according to
it
the
could be
notes
used in the
on,
main stem.
yeah, good.
What was that, John?
The harvester could be used in the main stem, or it could be used in the 10 mile, has a lot of water chestnuts that needs a harvester. So there's other places in the state of Rhode Island that it can be used.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but the Valley Falls Pond wasn't, but I wasn't sure about the main stem, John, so thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, Stephanie, the other thing, I was just looking quickly on my other computer at the images of these harvesters, and they appear to be on trailers that need to be launched. So there's an access and launching. It doesn't necessarily need to be a boat ramp per se, but it would have to be something akin to a boat ramp, I think, to be able to get this thing in and out of the water without causing damage.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I think there are a lot of different kinds, but they typically will need that. Yeah, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, according to your notes, Stephanie, the two that are being looked at by Grafton can operate in either 6 or 12 inches of water. The issue of size and launching is one that's important. And my impression is that the window of opportunity for removal, the ideal time is late May, early June. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'd be interested in if anybody knows about how, the best time, basically, which would make, sharing a harvester more feasible.
Yeah, that's probably a Katie question, but John, I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
So this is Kate again. You're absolutely right. That time is the best time, but I think any time is good, given that earlier in the summer is good because it's before the seeds develop and drop. However, there are so many seed pods in the system already. I think if you just get in there and pull the plant material and then do it again and do it again, eventually you'll make a dent in it. And this plant is actually, it's a good candidate for a mechanical harvester just because it doesn't root from plant fragments the way that other milfoils and things can. So.
And I think there are different types of harvesters too, because I was looking at one that said, this one cuts, and then another type doesn't cut. So it can be used for multiple invasives. If you have milfoil also, for instance, you can use it for both. But yeah, I think I'm surprised that Katie DeGouche had said no to Valley Falls, because it was it's so dense there. There's so much to take out. So I don't know if it's maybe just more cost effective to treat it with herbicide as well. Similarly, in Worcester, they have a lakes and ponds program that uses herbicide treatment, and they work with lake management to do that. But I don't know if they'd also be interested in a harvester. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there and hear the initial reaction from folks. And then from here, maybe similarly, I can set up a separate meeting to kind of review in more detail what it would really look like, and then think about what logistical opportunities there would be to share that with communities. Yeah, Paul.
Stephanie, is there a clear benefit between the harvester and chemical treatment? Is there a clear choice on which one is best?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I would say it's very site specific. Like, there will be places where chemical treatment would be best, and then there are definitely places where physical treatment is good. And I think in general, for those places where physically pulling or cutting plants is best, that's preferred than the chemical option for sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. This is very helpful for me. And I realized that I forgot to give you, I haven't figured this out yet, guys. I have this like idea of it being a good thing to have this PowerPoint that you can look at, but I can't do PowerPoint and type notes at the same time and look at my notes and copy things. So that is the link to Alpine Network if you want to sign up for their newsletter, if you're interested in connecting with your university and Alpine. And the Eco Harvester, just to give you a link to that. This is the one that they were looking at, but there are a couple different ones. This is the other one, but I will reach out to some folks and we can learn more about that. Another link for you, I'm going to give you all the links. If you're interested in signing up to be a speaker, so we had, Dave and Kay today. I have in January as a reminder, we do not have a December meeting, no December meeting. Our January meeting will feature folks from EPA and DEP. So talking about stormwater management, people had asked for more of like a 101 on MS4 and NIPD's permitting. So Newt Tatter from EPA Region 1 and Laura Schiffman from Mass DEP will be talking about that. I don't have a Rhode Island specific person, but I can reach out and get someone also from Rhode Island if you're interested, and we can all kind of do that together. I think we're going to keep going on these sort of bi-monthly meetings. So January would be your next meeting, and then it would be March. And March we don't have a speaker for yet. In May, Katie had asked to be the speaker talking about water chestnut. So we'll hear a lot more from her then. Maybe I'll ask her to bump it up and do it earlier so we can be more prepared. Let me see. We have a whole lot of kind of policy legislative tool updates, but I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk first. So if there are any updates that you have, feel free to raise your hand, put it in the chat, or just unmute yourself.
I have an update.
Go ahead, John.
So we had the Narragansett Indian tribe hosted an intertribal gathering on October 30th. I thought it was a great success, and we're going to be planning. We passed out these herring, and we're going to be planning a spring migration parade in May. Would May 21st work, do you think, for a date? We got to kind of get a date so I can tell people when. And May 21st is actually World Day for Cultural Diversity, which might fit in good for the day, because I'm trying to reach out to the Latino community in Central Falls And I met with Angie Forjuia. She works for Serve USA, and she's already translated the herring poster into Spanish. And so I'm gonna pass it over to the printer, and we're gonna print up the herring poster also in Spanish to get out into the communities. And I'm meeting with the Rhode Island Environmental Education Association to see if they want to get involved with this too, to try to get it out into the community and try to steer everyone towards the parade in May. That's my update.
Thanks, John.
Hey, John, the slide that's up on the screen says May 2022, but you're talking about 2023, right?
That's just my fault. That's just me. That's me typing wrong.
Yes, May
Yeah,
2023. It
and
would be a
John,
walk for. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, I shared a bunch of those fish with Samantha, the art education director at the Tourism Council, and hoping that she'll use them if we have any in classroom programs over the winter or even in the spring. I told her a little bit about the thing, but maybe, you know, if you ever need to use our classroom, you could talk to Bob or Sam and maybe do a presentation for communities as well. And another good contact for the Hispanic community in Central Falls is Mara Martinez. If you at the Rhode Island Latina Arts Gallery, and
Okay.
she's into that stuff, so I think she would be very helpful.
Great. Okay, I'll touch base with her and get more information.
Yeah.
Also, Progreso Latino is a extremely active organization. So if you want to contact them, I'm actually in the process of contacting them for my own project that I'm working on for Central Falls. So we can connect about that later.
Oh, great. All right. Thanks, Logan.
Yeah, if it's okay, I had a quick ask/update. So for a little context, I'm working on a climate resilience plan for Central Falls, which includes making suggestions about the Blackstone River and what Central Falls can do to contribute to climate resilience. So one, I'm in the process of trying to find data regarding floodings of the Blackstone River in Central Falls, just to support the fact that flooding has happened and it is an issue with property damage. So if anyone has any information or leads that could connect, I would really appreciate that. I tried to go to the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency and they gave me a very hard time. So trying to get it through there, but if anyone else has any suggestions on that front, I would really appreciate it. Or if anyone has experience in Central Falls with Blackstone River and wants to meet about talking about solutions that I can present to Central Falls or funding sources that Central Falls can access, I would love to meet. So I'm gonna throw my email and number in the chat, whichever one works best for anyone. But yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Logan. I definitely would love to meet with you on that, and I think a few others here.
Yeah, Logan, count me in. I put together a PowerPoint presentation on the 2005 flood that occurred on the Blackstone River that had a big impact at the Central Falls Landing. And I'm sure Bob would be interested in talking to you a little bit about that as well. So I will reach out to you by email.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Any other updates that folks have? Well, I know Hillary and I and Ted were all at a meeting last night in Sutton. So Sutton's also working on its MVP program and thinking about flooding in the Manchaug Village historic downtown area. And one of the things that they also might be looking at is, upgrading their culverts or removing or modifying some of their dams. So I would encourage Uxbridge and Sutton to work together because you know, you're right near each other and you're both thinking about this, and it's really one watershed where we impact each other. So maybe when you do those listening sessions, if you want to include Jen Hager or others from Sutton when you're doing those, and vice versa. Cool, thanks. Any other updates that folks want to share?
If folks are interested, I can do a quick overview of the new biomap if that's of interest.
I would love that. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to give you a screen share?
Yeah, that will be great. So let me pull it up here. So if you're not familiar with biomap, or it's been a while since you've used it, it's basically the framework that Mass Wildlife and TNC partnered up years ago. So this is now the third iteration to come up with a framework of land protection and now restoration also for protecting all of the biodiversity in the state. And it really heavily emphasizes protection of imperiled species, but a new component this time around is also looking at biodiversity as a whole of native species. So in the aquatic side, looking at areas where we have a lot of the native species assemblages are still intact. So we're not just protecting those areas that are kind of rare and kind of diminishing populations, but the areas that are really supporting really healthy populations and making sure we're protecting those too. So yesterday was the official launch. Okay, so share screen. Let me see if that works. And I should put on the website, why can't I see my, there we go. If you just Google Biomap Hub, you'll come up to the main page. And so this time around, the emphasis is really on doing a web interface rather than doing a lot of glossy, although there is going to be some materials available. And Mass Wildlife will also be having webinars and kind of outreach events to teach people how to use the website and the information. We have 2 new hires that will still start working on that. And so look for information on those webinars if you want to take a deeper dive. But basically, when you come onto the website hub, here it's Biomap Mass and all of this, there's the general information of what Biomap is. And then you have different components that you can click on to look at general information. What are the different components that make up the analysis? How to use the biomap and what's new this time around. And then you can link right to the map, which I'll go to in a minute. The map this time around includes state priorities as well as priorities by municipalities. So we had some towns in 2010, I wasn't here for that iteration, but one of the comments that Mass Wildlife got was that there's some towns like Avon that don't have any core habitat or critical natural landscapes, which are the 2 components for biomap. And so they wanted to know what is kind of the best of the best that we have in the town so that we can look at those areas. And so that was incorporated this time around. And as you scroll down to this introduction, you'll see that you can download the data. There's this kind of habitat resource center that talks about the different habitats that we looked at. There's also a way to communicate with us. We really want some feedback on how people are using it, how we can improve upon it, and then how to support endangered species in general. And then you can go back up to the top here, and these are different components. So biomap, when you look at the map, the 2 main components are what we call core habitat, which is basically where the best habitat is for imperiled species and biodiversity as in general. And then these critical natural landscapes would tend to be not necessarily exactly where those species are living, but what the natural landscape around those areas that are critically supporting those habitats that are also needed. So you can get descriptions of that. And then you can either look at the regional or the statewide priorities. There's descriptions of the different components. I led all of the evaluation of the aquatic core, so I can be your resource for that. Other folks that were heavily involved, of course, were TNC, Andy Finton on their end, and Jessica Diedrich were instrumental. Eve Schluter was kind of the primary person at Mass Wildlife leading the charge. But then a gazillion other biologists that were involved. So then you can dive into the aquatic core components, their different types, or the components that make up these critical natural landscapes. And you get descriptions of that. Okay. There's also this new kind of new concept that we're promoting this time around, which is the idea that land protection is not going to be enough to maintain these species in the long term, particularly climate change being on so changing our landscapes. So that really active management has to be a part of how we protect these species and our ecosystems. And so there is this resource here that talks about the different management that we do in our habitats, and there's descriptions. There's also like best in quotes, best management practices to achieve those. One of them is dam removal, David, if you want to look at just a general idea and resources available for dam removal, that's there. But I think most people are really going to be interested in the interactive map. So I actually brought it up. It takes a little bit for it to come up. So let me see if I can have it here. So when you come onto the map, what it's going to look like are these green and dark green areas. The dark green are those core habitats, again, those areas that are supporting imperiled species or biodiversity strongholds. And then the light green are those critical natural landscapes that are really necessary to keep those habitats intact. And so I was curious earlier to look at Uxbridge. Let me see if I can find myself. Am I here? Is this me right here? Am I in the right area? Okay, here's North Uxbridge. So here's Uxbridge. So you can get a sense of what the footprint is. And when you look at, if you click on this layers, can you see my little hand icon? Okay. When you look here in the layers, you can actually depict for your municipality or for your area of interest, whether you want to look at the state elements, which are the green state elements, or if you want to look at these, the local, what we call local municipal components. And so here, if I take the state elements away, you can see that there's quite a few that are more of a local importance. And those often are maybe not as a high integrity as far as the ecosystems, but they're kind of the best of what we have. And what we did is that we patchwork them in. You can see that they are either abutting or very close to the core habitat because they're going to be critical for connections, creating connectivity between habitats. And we need to make sure the species can move and find habitat when they need to as conditions are changing. So here you can actually click on and off what you want to look at. If you want to look at it all, if you, for instance, you just want to look at aquatics, you can kick all of the other ones off and just look at the aquatic environment. And you can actually download in this first page, there is a place where you can download, there's a big button. If you want the data specifically, you can download summary statistics of your area of interest. There's a draw tool somewhere. If your boundaries aren't here, let's see if I can find that. But you can actually, like, you can put an address here. Yeah, so you can do by city and town or address. And I think there's some place, let's see if I can find it, where you can actually draw the boundaries that you're looking for. So even if it's like a parcel of land, you should be able to pull up the summary statistics. I can't find it right now.
I was playing with it yesterday. I think it's under
did you
that
find
work
it?
button.
Yeah, so this is so new. I haven't seen it since
Yeah.
it was just like a DOS, you know, like a matrix type of website.
That's
But
really
we've been
fun.
working on it for 3 years. So it's kind of the culmination of a lot of work. But
Yeah.
so I
And
don't know if
you
folks have
can-
questions.
Yeah, I don't know if you can show everybody where the key is also. Like I know you can flip on and off the different layers, but then you have
Yeah.
to go to the
Which one are you looking for, Hillary?
so the legend. So if
Oh,
you
the
if you-
legend. Is it here? So you can, this is the base maps.
I think it's on the top right.
This one.
So if you
No.
close out of that, I think it's that right there.
Okay, good. Yes, thank you. So
So
they'll
you
tell
can-
you what all the different components are.
This is so exciting.
Yeah,
have
and
a
so
question.
we know that we're treating this very much as a living document, a living web hub. So there's going to be updates to it as new information comes up. On the aquatic side, we definitely incorporated climate change projections. On the terrestrial side, it's more of an ecological approach. The projections haven't been incorporated, but I hope they will be in the future. And so we're still, you know, kind of, this is the best that we have right now, and it's pretty cool. It has all the new species observations in it, but we are going to continue to improve upon it as new information comes up. Hopefully more than every 10, 12 years, you know, as things come up. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff. So I encourage you to play around, look around, reach out to us if you have questions.
Thank you. Can you put the link in the chat? So and I'll put that in the notes. And I have a question about the local priorities. Did you determine those based on like open space plans of communities, or was it outreach about just asking what's priority? Or
no, so it's all data driven. So let me see, how do I unshare? Let's see. Stop share. So it's all data driven. So on the aquatic side, it was basically, we calculated all of the biodiversity for all the stream reaches that we had data for. And we put that state, for instance, the state's core habitat was the top 10 percentile of that. Where it's like the best of the best is going to be state, but then the municipal is kind of the top 50% of what's available in the town. So it was really driven by the information we have. For the aquatics, we considered fish because that's the most that we have data on. But we also consider freshwater mussels and macroinvertebrates were heavily in there, as well as some of the imperiled aquatic species, like wood turtle, or that, you know, there's species that need aquatic habitat for a part of their life cycle that, you know, that we considered. So it was really data driven, and it would be interesting to hear what municipalities are like, hey, you know, because they may not be their own priorities. For instance, if we didn't consider jurisdiction, so like we didn't say we're only going to look at town property, we are considering the entire state. And looking at the conditions that we have, and, you know, it gives us a target for whether it's private property or not. And, you know, opportunities are going to be what they are. And so a lot of that work will come up, you know, on town lands will be much easier than, say, a private property, but at least it's there, it's on paper. Like if that parcel goes for sale, you know, and it has really high value, then there may be an opportunity that folks can capitalize on. So.
Very cool. Thank you so much. I hadn't even heard that yet, so it must be in my email somewhere that I missed, but very exciting.
Yeah, I think that the press release went out last night, so.
Perfect. Great. That was a very good update. Exciting. It's funny because I was just talking to a student doing maps, and I was like, yeah, Biomap 3 is not out yet, but it's supposed to be soon, so I will email her and make sure that she has this to use. So awesome. Any other questions for Rebecca while we have her here? Okay, cool. I look forward to those trainings that you have as well to dive in there, and I will definitely explore that. Any other updates that folks have and want to share? Okay. I just wanted to note a few different resources that are now available. I'm just gonna share my notes with you as my little secret background, what I work on here. So this is a really cool one that recently came out from UMass Amherst and Cornell on Black land stewardship in the Northeast. So it's obviously not specific for the Blackstone or Massachusetts, but their goal is to kind of promote and highlight some stories of you know, BIPOC folks that are land owners and stewards, and sort of raise awareness of this and provide opportunities to learn from them and from the, you know, in the broader forest conservation community. So I invite you to check that out. It's really accessible and easy to read and really like story oriented. Another is from the Heistad Foundation. They have a new resource and report on New England's climate imperative, Our Forests as a Natural Climate Solution. So I know Mass Audubon's also always working on forests and climate, but in particular their focus is on carbon storage. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. And then the SNAP network has a ton of resources and tools available right now. So they have one on the buffer restoration guide and toolkit. So if you're interested in working on wetland or buffer restoration, there's a great sort of tool there to check out and help you along the journey, and has case studies and information, and lists a number of different resources. The collaborative is listed as a resource, so if you're interested, feel free to reach out to us. StuMap is something that we heard about a few months ago from Bryce Dubois, who is with RISD, and he worked on this stewardship mapping dashboard. It's actually available now. It just became available yesterday or the day before, so brand new. I will make sure in the notes that it has the right link on there for you. But if you actually want to play around with that now and see what organizations are stewarding our resources in this region, you can kind of zoom in and out and click on different groups and see what topics they focus on and how they're interacted and how they interact with one another and who they connect to. So very, very exciting. They also have a stormwater retrofit manual that's out. They have we just did a bylaw review workshop on reviewing local regulations to incorporate climate resilience. There's a recording on that available. And then they're also doing a story map on bylaw review as well, which is now available. And then this is not a new resource, but I realized that I've never shared it with you guys. So I've maybe just wanted to put it in there. If you're interested in more of the planning side on land use practices and examples of different regulations that are really good at what they do, whether it's stormwater focused or impervious cover or natural land protection, et cetera. MAPC is the Metropolitan Area Planning Council and has a wonderful resource list there. We're working with the Division of Statewide Planning in Rhode Island as well to sort of connect through from Massachusetts to Rhode Island and better integrate those two tools that exist in all of these different examples. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll have some new information for you soon. Okay. I was just looking at the chat. I would love to be able to expand Biomap 3 into other states. Very exciting, very exciting. Cool. Okay. So last thing is my interactive piece, which I'm trying to do. So let me stop sharing for a second and give you a link. And I would love if you could answer 2 questions for me quickly. So one question is, we were very fortunate to get some grants recently, and through those grants, I will be able to host at least 2 trainings that will probably be in the spring on culvert assessment. I know a lot of communities have identified this as a priority. Just trying to find my link here. A lot of communities have identified this as a priority, but a lot of folks aren't trained in culvert assessment, and you have to be certified in this program to be able to input data into this sort of larger 13-state regional database. Oh, and thank you, Hillary. Yes, that's also another really great resource and tool. I need to make a better tool page to put that together. So I would love to know who's interested in doing this culvert assessment training and when would work for you. So if you can click on that link. Also, if you prefer, I can screen share and you can Mentimeter like scan on your phone if that's easier for you.
Stephanie, real quick, there's no option on your for me. I'm already a certified lead observer. So
there are like none of you, so I didn't even put that as an option. But
so if you want to chat and talk about how Save the Bay can help facilitate this, I've done a lot of training, and I've certified in tidal culvert assessments, regular old culvert assessments, and I have access to the data, the NAACC database, and all sorts of good stuff. So I'd love to help with this project.
Awesome. Thank you. We don't have enough folks certified. I am brand new certified, haven't done any trainings yet, and I'm only am only certified in non-title because the Blackstone's non-title. But I'd love to sort of share it broader. Cool. So let me screen share differently. Here. And go here. And I'm still learning this. View results. How do I do this? This is how I do this. Can you tell I'm a total pro at Mentimeter? Cool. So one of my questions was if you prefer weekdays or weekends, if you're interested. And I know the town of Northbridge is interested, and I think that's going to be our first stop to do a training. Sutton may also be another one. I really like focusing on that area of cold water fishery as well, of kind of really high priority. I'm sure Biomap 3 will show it as a high priority if I go look. There are more of you on the call than are clicking here, so this is my reminder. If you can just click, take 2 seconds and just let me know if you're interested in this, if you would want to host a training, if weekday or weekend are preferred, or it's not for you, which is fine. Or if you're like Kate and you're already certified. Let me give you a second.
And then real quickly, Steph, I'm a lead observer, but I could relatively easily get the coordinator training if that's something that we need for this project. So
yes, it's just an online
step
test.
up. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that would be great. I technically haven't actually taken that online test because they haven't given me access to it yet, but I'm not worried about it. So
have you done your Shadow 10? Okay.
Yeah, it's just I used to be at Mass Audubon, and when I did the original training and they created a profile for me, and now I'm at Clark, and so the profiles didn't match. It's just a logistical thing, but
got it.
I'm working with them.
Stephanie and Kate, I know Rhode Island DOT has a couple of people that have gone through the training that might be certified leads. I'm not really positive. I'm speaking for my coworkers, but Rhode Island DOT would be all in for anything that we can do to help, especially as most of the culverts are our own. So anything that DOT can do, we'd be happy to assist however you think we can help.
Thanks, Allison. Yeah, I think Nicole Leperossi and
Heather, maybe
Eric, Heather,
maybe Mark. There are
Mark
a couple
definitely is a lead observer.
Yes.
Or a coordinator rather. So
yes, so I can totally throw him under the bus because he's my staff. So
great.
Or under the culvert, as the case may be. But anything DOT can do to help, just let me know and I'll coordinate with the right people.
I appreciate that. And I also met with someone at Mass DOT last night and was elbowing them about participating as well. So I'll work on that.
Yeah, well, you can tell them what Rhode Island's doing it. So
right,
guilt them into it.
Yeah. Cool. So my second question is, are you going to the Restore America's Estuaries Conference in December? So it's December 4th through 8th, I think, and it's in New Orleans. And I would, if folks are going, I'd love to connect with you. I'm hoping that the SNEP program can kind of set something up for us New Englanders that are going down there. I don't remember. I should really take like a Mentimeter 101 class on how to do this because I'm actually not very good at it. But I think if you just reload your page on Mentimeter or go back to that same link, it should have this new question there. Or if it's not working, you can just tell me if you're going.
Doesn't seem to be working, but I'm going.
Shucks.
Anybody else?
That's me and you.
Well,
Oh,
we'll
I
fill
think I have
everybody in on what we learned. So
Yeah, I think I had to press present. That's okay. My focus, my try.
Not working for me.
Yeah, my try at being interactive is failing. I need more lessons. I'm not young enough. All right.
I like it though. So like, I enjoy the interactive Zoom stuff. So, and it's easier sometimes to just click something than try to interrupt the flow of conversation.
I need an assistant that's just always here at my meetings that can just like manage that part of it for me. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay, cool. So we have about half an hour left of our meeting. We do not need to take up time if folks don't have anything else to say. I just want to remind you that we don't have a meeting next month. I will send out our meeting notes as a reminder as well. Let me just see. We do have a few grants that are available that are coming up. So there's the BRIC grant, Building Resilient Infrastructure from FEMA. So that is due December 5th as a reminder. Also, the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program through MEMA is due December 5th. And then the Federal Highway Administration has funding for culvert projects to improve and restore habitat for specifically anadromous fish species. I know that's something on the Blackstone that we're working on. So municipalities, states, and tribes are eligible, and it's really focused on fish. So if you're interested in that, that is due in February. So you have some more time for that one. I can give you the link for it here, and it's also in the notes. Land and Water Conservation Fund. Okay, awesome. What was that, Patty?
Oh, I just wanted to mention that, first of all, if you hear the train whistle blowing between 4 and 8 p.m., anywhere between Woonsocket and Uxbridge, it's just the Polar Express on its run. It started last weekend. But also, I just want to mention a couple things. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to check out the new permanent exhibit at the Museum of Work and Culture called Flows Through. It's on the history of the Blackstone, and it's interactive. It's a neat little exhibit. And I know they're going to be doing a special thing on December 1st. I'm not sure if that's invitation, but Stephanie, I would like to invite you to come with me as my guest if you haven't been there yet. And also River Edge Arts has their Main Street to the Blackstone, which is artwork up along Main Street. I don't know if I haven't had a chance to check it out, but when I head to the depot on Sunday, I hope to check that out. But I just wanted to mention those couple of things going on to check out. The exhibit at Museum of Work and Culture is really cool. I think Bonnie posted something on her Facebook page. I posted a couple of things in my blog during about it, but it's kind of neat. You can kind of pick a little, you take a picture of yourself or pick an animal and get in a canoe, and it kind of takes you through community. It is a couple different themes and industry, communities, and whatnot. And it's neat. And Chuck Arnig, who was park ranger with the Heritage Corridor, had worked with Ann Conway, and the exhibit is on that history.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually haven't been yet, and I will be flying to New Orleans that day, so I will not be available to meet with you. But I'm excited to check it out on a different day.
Yeah. I'll post more pictures of the event when I'm there, so.
Great. Awesome. Well, got all those grants that are available, and I think I have the link for the Rivers Art program, or I might have just put it on Facebook, but I will get that as well and share it with you guys and encourage you to check that out too. So I won't keep you if there's not anything else. It's 11:36 here. You can get 24 minutes back in your day. And I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you in January. And I'll reach out to a few folks specifically about water chestnut and water quality, providing feedback on that 2022 impaired waters list.
Stephanie, make sure you check out the beignets in New Orleans.
I will. It's not my first time there, but I'm very excited to go back.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Happy
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
happy Thanksgiving. Bye.